Greetings. Black Light here. Last time I was on video, excuse me, we were talking about all these pimps among the black community. I'm going to tell you why that is. But first, we're going to name this series Let Us Reason Together. People don't like to talk about what's not popular. Everybody like to be talking about what everybody else is talking about, no matter if it's productive or non-productive. And we got a lot of mudslinging going on. And we got all types of pimps, con artists in the community taking the people's money. Not only do we got the small pimps getting over off the people, black people. See, everybody wants you to include white people in your discussion. You ain't got to include white people. When you have a family meeting at the house, or family discussion, or a family concern in your household, you don't include the next door neighbor or people on the next block or people that don't have anything to do with your son or your relatives doing you wrong. For example, if you got a son that's on drugs, well, you can't blame nobody else but your son being on drugs. You know. The dope man down the street supplies it to him, but he wouldn't have no traffic if wouldn't nobody buy it. But we're talking about influence. It's who we let influences us. What kind of conversation that influences us? When you talk about gangsters in the community, young black thugs and stuff, they that way because they let somebody influence them. They like the swagger or the big homie, and they let that influence them. And if you got someone in your family, some young lady in your family that's a prostitute or she wants to just give her sex away and don't care, you can believe that first she had an urge to do that or inkling to do that, and she drew into her atmosphere someone, or she went around someone that does those things and feel the way she do. And then now you got a teenager or someone in your family that's like that. And they're going to hang around somebody that's like them. And so if you pull them in, decide to talk to them and persuade them to go in another direction, they're not going to listen to you because they despise you. They don't hold you up as an example, you know, because it's really what that individual allows to impress him or her, or allows to influence them, and they vibe on that thought right there and that level of existence, and it's non-productive. See, so they use the excuse of getting money, you know, because they want nice things, you know, they want to eat good. And if you see some brothers, you know, someone in your family that's thugging, and they like to rob people and take people for, you know, they use they size or their weapons to scare them, and they or they numbers to scare people, and they start taking things from everybody and stealing and killing to get a thing, an object, you know. Somebody influenced them or persuaded them some kind of way to do, you know, to be like that. Then you got the elders that they go out and work every day, try to abide by the white man's law, see. And deep back in their mind, they know that the white man's law is an enemy to God, because how did the white man get where he's at? He got where he's at by, thugging and mugging and killing. And he started off, you know, taking his neighbors, killing his neighbor. Then he started getting big, and eventually he started thugging cities and mugging cities, states. Now he's mugging, thugging countries, you know, taking what he wants. But he won't allow y'all to do that. If you do it, you gotta, you know, don't get caught. Because if he catches you doing what he do, he gonna lock you up or kill you. So he know that he dominated the black and the brown over here on this continent right here. He know this. He know that he dominated you. And he know that he took your names and your religion, your culture, your values, you know, because he beat you down to the lowest state he could beat you down to. And he know this, see. And he withheld reading and writing and education from you for hundreds of years, and he basically trained you on how to think and how to act. And the only influence you got now is the white man's influence. You know. Now, who gave him, the white man, uh, who gave the white man his thought pattern and the way he thinks? Who did that? Someone influenced the white man to act like that. Or trained him or gave him the ability to act like that, or the nature to act like that. And then when you look back, you see that while the pyramids was being built by highly civilized people, you see that the Caucasians were dwelling in caves. They were cavemen. And they lost the ability to read, write for hundreds of years, and they started acting ape-like, monkeys, and, you know, mating with dogs, and they were at their lowest level. They lost all language. But someone came and tried to civilize them, raise them up. But those ways of animalistic, beast-like ways were still in them. But now they had a intelligence about them. They had a certain intelligence or science of civilization about them. But they didn't have all of it. So they started learning from those that were civilized. But they hated that. They hated to learn from these people, but they did. The intelligent ones knew that this was their ticket, you know, out of their condition by learning from these civilized people who were black. Now, these people, the Caucasian, started conquering the world. Started conquering the people that they was learning from, and they conquered Europe from the caves. But they don't have no mercy because they were lower than the lowest animals, so they don't have no mercy when they fight, when they battle. They'll kill women, children, fetuses. They were in a survival type thinking. They became predators to the whole planet. But when they do battle, they were merciless. Then they started using psychology or tricknology. You know, they perfected tricknology to the point where a lot of times they didn't have to fight. They used fear, you know. And then they would use fear, then they would use sympathy. It was just a tool. It wasn't that they felt that in their heart, sympathy. It was that, you know, just like the good cop and the bad cop. One was using fear. The other cop was using sympathy. He was sympathetic towards your goals. They was a tag team act. So this rubbed off, that behavior rubbed off on the black man over a period of time when he was dominated and colonized by the European Caucasian. All the behaviors, negative behaviors that the European Caucasian used to get him to control the planet like he's doing now, the black man was studying this, and now he's using it amongst his people. So when you go to the history books, when the Europeans settled the Old West, they were cowboys, and they had already dominated the Indians and took the Indians' land. They took the Indians' land. Sometimes they swindled the Indian out of his land, you know, because there's always sellouts in any community. The Indian had sellouts. Black man got sellouts right now, you know. And so they took the Indians' land, and they had us in slavery. And they were setting up towns. Now what do you see in them towns when they were setting up them towns? They had a whole house and a saloon combined. So the cowboys would ride into town. First place they go to is the saloon. Then they go to the whole, and then after they get high, they be in the saloon. They be gambling and drinking and buying sex from these hoes. Yeah. Now, our culture, the Indians' culture, black man culture, wasn't like that in the Indian village or in the African villages. We didn't have whole houses. We didn't have saloons. We didn't have strong drink. You know. So we had to convert to the Caucasians' culture or die. So that's what's happening now. You got, you know, I could go through the whole history on how pimping started and how hoeing started with the black man. You know, but you could read that for yourself. And see, that's what your problem is. That's what our problem is. We don't want to go to the libraries. We don't want to see how things was. And we give our children over to our very enemy. We send them in their school system. Now Elijah Muhammad, he knew this. So he had his own schools. But the rest of the black people, they shunned Elijah Muhammad for bucking the system, bucking the white man. Because they didn't have a heart to, like he had. And if you look at the history of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the history of Master Farad Muhammad, Master Farad Muhammad was one man that looked Caucasian. But his father was black. And so the European Willie Lynch, you know, people try to say, well, it wasn't no Willie Lynch. Well, the science that they use to divide and conquer us is still present today. You know, light skin don't like black skin. Black skin don't like light skin. Old don't like the young. Young don't like the old. The woman don't like the man. And you refuse to think for yourself. You refuse to sit down and kind of think about like what I'm thinking about. Now you know this, true. Because you say, well, I got to pay these bills. I got to pay these bills. The only way I can pay these bills, I either work, steal, or kill. But you don't stop to think about, you know, who's using you and why things are like it is. I got to get me an education so I can get me a good job, you know. But it costs you, how much money it costs you to get an education, man? You know, and you're not thinking on what you can do as a group of people to turn this thing around. Because you can see where it's headed. But you think it ain't going to affect you. Mostly all black people think that, you know, it ain't going to affect them. You know. So, when you talk to your family, you know, half the time you don't even talk to your family. Because you jacked up yourself. You're a drug addict yourself, or you're an alcoholic, or you a sex fiend, dope fiend, something. You got some kind of hang up, so you can't. You ain't got time to sit down and straighten yourself out. You always say you need help, and you know who you want to help you. The white man. So he gonna sell you some drugs, whether or not the drugs is illegal or prescription. He gonna sell them over the counter, or he gonna have a doctor write them out. Because you done forgot who you was, and you substituting the white man for your God. You know, instead of knowing who is your God, who you really are. And if you read the ain't nothing wrong with the Bible, Quran, none of the books. It's how you read them. You know, when you look at a dictionary, first of all, you gotta get books, word origin books, the origin of words, where they come from, origin of English word. See, English is a mix. Mixed language, you know. It's got, for instance, your numbers. Your numbers is Arabic. Like 1, 2, 3. You write your numbers in Arabic because you got Roman numerals, Roman numbers. Y'all know how they look. For instance, your mathematics is Arabic. Algebra. That's an Arabic word. See? So, you got brothers coming up in the hood, and they see how you not using your own mind. And so they're going to take your money. They say you're a sucker. You know, they're going to talk to what you want to hear, but you your own best leader. You know, because they trapped too, but they can't play off the white man. He ain't going to let them play off of him. They can only play off of you, because you're looking for hope in somebody else. That's why when the white man asked Elijah, who's going to be your predecessor? He said, ain't nobody coming after me but God. Y'all didn't understand that. Y'all think God, he was talking about God going to come out the sky. No. We're going to explain that to you. But we was talking. We left off and trying to tell you what patience is. And patience actually means, meek rather actually means patience. The word meek means patience. And in the Bible say the meek shall inherit the earth. What kind of patience are they talking about? So why should you be patient? I'm gonna tell you why on the next video. Black light.